Perrin, have you ever tried to innovate or design or ideate something? Tell us something about
Yes.
your innovations.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
I'm one of the co-founders of the Divergence, which is a youth-led organization that is kind of a bit similar to the My Startup TV, because
okay.
we interviewed innovators from all around the world, and we aim to inspire also the fellow youth to innovate their own ideas. So we were able also to do this through workshops for peace that we held April and May. We were able to able to raise funds for the Philippines, Ukraine, and other countries. We had 5 workshops. Two people were from the Philippines. I remember one person from Australia, one from Canada, um, and then the other was from another country. I think it just slipped my mind. But oh yeah, Ukraine. Ukraine. We were actually able to meet kids from Ukraine, as in like living in Ukraine itself. So yeah, so we had all those culture exchanges where we were able to talk with the kids in Ukraine. We were able to discuss about simple hobbies like um,
When do you talk to the
baking.
kids of Ukraine? Before war, or I mean now
During
war days?
during it was
During
during
the
the
war days? Yeah. So what were the feelings? I mean, what are the kids of Ukraine feeling at the moment? Maybe.
a lot they had a lot of things a lot of hobbies that they want want to
This
pursue,
year.
but then every now and every there but then there's that fear of like a sudden alarm sounding, and then you have to and then but then because when you that alarm sounds, you have to drop everything and go. So it's hard for them to bake, or hard for them to play video games, or do this or do that, because um, there's a lot of times they have to leave their houses. They have to suddenly go to the basement because of the air raid siren. So it was really it was an experience where we really got to the level of went to their level, and we were able to see eye to eye.
Yeah, completely. We can actually, to be honest, kids are kids. Learning is learning, and education is education. Maybe the different scenarios completely change the paradigm of how people pursue it. Yet, I always believe the demands, basic human demands, are the same. We all want peace. We all want humble. We all want growing environment. No matter what part of the world we belong to, either we are highlighted or not, but we all actually, but when because I'm a teacher, parent, and when I we used to like teach kids about my body. So there was a part of this where we talked to them about skeleton, and when we talk to kids about skeleton, this is the thing. This is how we used to talk to them. We used to say, "Okay, we all are same inside. This Mr. Boni is the same we all have inside." So that's what the tagline we used to teach kids, that we are all the same inside. So while you just shared your the experience of Ukraine kids, I guess it's the same with all the kids across globe. You won't feel the same, the difference other than the cultural and all that. But you won't find it different, maybe too much.
Yeah, I also love education when education and innovation kind of like
Collaborate, yeah.
collaborate. Speaking of which, I'm also kind of part of this organization called 100. Yeah, so I'm like 100 youth ambassador, and they're all about innovations in the education system. And personally, when I was asked one thing I could improve about the education system, I told them that I want kids to be able to not have to not feel restricted by the physical borders of a classroom, you know, because if you look at a classroom 100 years ago, and you look at a
They're the
classroom,
same.
they look exactly the same. There,
But
people are taught to
even
sit
worse,
in.
in some
People
country,
are,
even worse.
yeah,
Yeah, true.
kids. They make kids sit in rows, raise their hand if they want to speak. They're training kids they're training kids to live like the people 100 years ago, the menial factory jobs. But now that those are being taken over by AI, that's not what we need.
Yes.
We need people creative. So I think
You
one
know,
way,
yeah. But
but
Perrin, there must be a very fine balance. Uh, there, we see two extremes when it comes to education and extremes of the mindset. Maybe one of the people who said that the classrooms and the school system is totally redundant, and we should move on to this and that and all that stuff. But initially, when I was with Julie, I was talking that I'm really like I believe in studying neuroscience and understand how brain works, especially the cognitive sciences, how we learn maybe. So there are certain things definitely how human brain is designed to interact and collaborate, and as you rightly so that the classrooms and the learning should not be bound, but the myths that we have associated to education and learning is that we have just confined it in schools. Okay, this is the school, and here we learn, and this is home, and here we do fun maybe, and these are the parties, and this is the playground, and this is this. So we have just compartmentalize everything rather than just because learning constantly happens. You did talk about AI and you did talk about technology and you did talk about how to improve it. But I would strongly say, and I mean, we need to tell kids that they need to raise hands to speak for the only matter of fact that they understand the proposition and the position of taking turns and value others' opinion and not to interrupt maybe. So those are the basics we have to like demonstrate, make value, provide them the students some values to know those things because those are the skills that if, for example, they will actually help learners learn. So besides those, ever understand, as you rightly said, why are we confining learning to schools? So just because we do have like maybe 10 more minutes, and if the presenters do not join, Perrin, if you have to design a school, maybe. So I'm putting it all on you. So what kind of school do you imagine, maybe, or you don't imagine a school?
personally, I feel like the workspace, or the classroom space, is contributes uh, quite, not necessarily like 90%, but quite a big chunk to how a child, how a kid or youth or teen would feel, how their brain would feel, because if it feels like you're constrained, it feels like you're stuck in a box, then how do you expect kids to think outside the box? So definitely, if I were to design a school, I would one of the things I'd tackle is the design of the classrooms. I design it so that, of course, there's also this problem of the chairs and desks only having like one side that you can lean your elbow on, which causes like scoliosis. So I would also address those problems and do my best to make classrooms more open air. Maybe instead of a box with fluorescent lights, maybe you could have it in a greenhouse that lets sunlight in. You know what I mean? With instead of desks, we could have instead of desks and wooden chairs, we could have bean bags and coffee tables. Instead of yeah,
Or
exactly. Instead of pencils, we could use some
what?
kind of squig, one of those rubber pencils that you can wiggle a lot. Essentially, I
I've
want to
got
make
him
the
started,
experience.
Bushra. got him starting.
Mm.
Yeah, started on like thinking and like just listen to his imagination, beanbags and everything, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking by making
But
the by
are
making
those scalable? Are those sustainable? And are those,
I'm just thinking of it from like from the perspective of how do you make the child comfortable in thinking and not feel like they're stuck in one position the whole time. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
yeah,
So like, what about you?
yeah.
How would you design?
To be honest, that yeah, Bushra.
We do have in attendees list editor my startup TV. This is yeah. I'm not sure who will be this contact. I'm not sure if I should make them in the pen lists or not. But I asked them to rename themselves to to be sure they are the next,
Yeah.
like Eric or Salim. Uh, and the, no answer and no new attendees in the attendees list.
Okay. So we
So we
don't have,
still
right?
we still have 10 minutes
Yeah.
actually to the next.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That's okay. I mean, yeah, Perrin, you know what? Yeah, you are right. And in fact, to be honest, because I'm a teacher and I'm a classroom practitioner for more than like 16 years, uh, in fact, even when I was a teacher, I always try to like take students out of my class because again, learning is not confined to a box or maybe structure, and especially in the COVID days, maybe, or the pandemic days of pandemic, just really made us realize that learning is not about the structure of the school. So schools do not only have a building as a value of providing education, but schools have far more like responsibility, because to be honest, pandemic and when the schools were closed, people started getting online, people started getting remote things, hybrid format started. It just very quickly, in fact, within just a couple of years, it just completely changed the paradigm of the value that the structure holds in education, the building structure of the school, maybe. If I have to design, maybe I would certainly actually try to have very open spaces without maybe boundaries. And I understand the dynamics of the weather shielding and all that stuff. But to be honest, I would strongly. So if you are even in a classroom, you don't need to be in a classroom all the time. So being very practical, Perrin, although I do wish I can talk like you.
Um, is she lagging for you or also or is it all just me?
Yeah, it's lagging for my side actually.
Okay.
It seems she has an internet connection.
I mean, personally, I think, of course, I know that the structure is only one part of the school, but also what's very important to me would be the curriculum as well, because
Yes.
they another problem of some schools. I'm not generalizing all schools because there are some schools, especially like in Finland. I think we all know that are tackling this problem very well. Of the problem of having like a general curriculum
Curriculum.
that you just try to put information um, without regard to the person's specific challenges, um, because what if the person doesn't has a hard time understanding math? What happens is that he falls behind, and because he falls behind, he's not able to get good grades or something like that, and then because he's not able to get good grades, maybe people don't want to be around him. So he gets punished for not being able to understand something properly. So what I do, I definitely have more tailored learning, meaning that we address each child's
Weakness points.
strengths and weaknesses. We play by their strengths to help with their weaknesses. So if the person's a tactile learner, maybe we can use that in a way to help them understand history more. If the person
Yeah.
likes listening, maybe we can find a way to put the if the person likes visual, maybe we can find a way to make math look more fun. So I
Yeah.
guess that's gonna be those two are things that I would tackle, including also, by the way, the education of the educators or the teachers themselves,
Training.
because the role of the teachers, um, the role of a teacher is as important as a doctor. Because
Yeah.
if there's I got this someone once said, if a doctor can reach inside a patient's heart and and heal it heal it, and treat it, then the teacher shall have the same value, because they're the ones reaching inside the hearts of children and helping them grow.
Yeah. That's much, much, much more important actually, because you're building a human. You're building a human. You're building a mentality. You're building a way of thinking. So it's not you're building a doctor. You're building scientists. So
Exactly. The doctor that might be that you
yeah,
might be going to when you're older. So you have to make sure that when you teach the classroom, you teach it with the goal of not just trying to make them pass a test so that your class average is high, but you should teach it with the goal of helping them prepare for the world, which I also think should be added to the curriculums of schools, because by learning that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, because it does not help you learn how to buy a house or do your taxes, because or do your taxes or learn how to negotiate in a market, or do all those kind of life things that you just have to learn the moment you go get out of college. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't learn that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have biology, because what if, because of the fact that you have math and all these different subjects, what if because of that you discover your passion for something, because you do all those subjects. I'm not saying those are bad. I'm just saying there should also be maybe an extra something. Schools should incorporate maybe extra classes, or maybe into their curriculum themselves, how you can use these things in real life, like how to buy a house.
We
Exactly
don't
what I'm saying.
need to have extra classes at all. We're already having many classes and many subjects already. But the matter of fact is that these are called life and career skills, Perrin and Bushra. And the matter of fact is that all we need to understand is, because this is what the major problem is. Why are we keeping education separate and these skills separate? Education is meant to prepare individuals for life, maybe. So this is what they need to understand. This is what they need to know. So it must be very carefully, in fact, very conscientiously integrated within the curricula, within the syllabus that we are teaching, within the stuff that we are teaching. This is no different than life. Education must not be different than life. That's the whole idea of it. We always believe that education is separate: physics, math, science, arts, computers, that's separate. When it comes to taxation, maybe when it's come to learning about life, when it's come to learning about nutrition, when it comes to learning about myself, when it comes to learning about hygiene, when it comes to learning about relationships, it is all different, and we need to have different classes maybe, and we need to have extra classes. But that's what the whole idea is. If this is not preparing you for your life and you need this in your life, then just understand, I mean, choose your battlefield. So we need to understand that if in this age and time, what is the requirement of an individual, maybe from all perspectives and from all dynamics and from all areas of being a human. We don't are actually, we're not only a brain, we do have a body attached to it, we do have a spirit attached to it, we do have emotions attached to it. So there are different demands of every aspect of being a human. And education must basically help individuals, I mean, I would say in all those areas of life, and not just simply maybe teaching a subject. That's how it
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Perrin, and thank you for supporting us in all this. And I wish you the very best of luck for all the initiatives that you're taking. Probably when you are going to be rejoining, I might not be here, but I wish you the very best of luck, Perrin.